How pleased were you with your opening performance in the Premier League?
Yeah, obviously it was, I think, good performance. I could do better. But yeah, the most important tonight, I think, is the win and the mentality we showed. Obviously, we wanted to win for the people who came tonight and for Hugo. And I think that's what we did, so I'm happy for everybody.
And you talk about the mentality, but also about wanting to improve on your own performances. It's only your first game in the league, but what are you thinking? What are you in terms of what are you working on?
You know, I have so much things to do better, but I think I help the team as I can. You know, I can do a lot of things, and I think I will get better and do even more for this team. So yeah.
It's been a good start, so the fans will be looking forward to seeing something that's even better than that.
You say you should be doing better, but don't be too hard on yourself. You were pretty good tonight. Who's the player that you modelled yourself on growing up? Watching you tonight, you drop in, you obviously run in behind, you do lots of things really well. Who's your hero? Who's the player you like to look at?
Growing up, 2 players. Obviously, I can't play like him because it's the Neymar and Karim Benzema. I really love Karim Benzema because of the way he's played, and what he did for football is like just my role model as footballer, I think, yeah.
What has the manager asked of you since you've come here that's maybe a little bit different than, you know, your time at Eintracht Frankfurt or teams before that? Because he seems to like his strikers dropping a little bit deeper. But is that natural to your game as well?
Yeah, I think it's natural. I also changed my way to play here because I think it's also a different football where more intensity, the defender are more strong, and yeah, we have like a tight space here. I would say like I had so much more space in Germany. That's why I try to come, link and go, run behind. But you know, we have to find the way to succeed with the details because it's not good, I think, anymore, and we just have to get better.
If you want to get stronger to deal with the Premier League, when you're at Liverpool, you need to eat scouse. Some scouse?
I know I'm a scouser, yeah.
But there's also a stew called scouse as well, so that's what Jamie's trying to get you to eat. I don't think it's on the footballer's diet. No. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. Now, have you seen your goal yet? Would you like to?
Yeah, why not?
We can show you the goal, and you can talk us through it and talk us through the move. I mean, you were talking about your movement and maybe not having as much space as you were used to in Germany.
Yeah, I think like I track the defender, I come link up, and I'm a bit lucky with the touch. The ball came back to me, and you know, at the end it's a easy goal. You have to stay calm in front of the goal, and yeah, I just did my job. So keep going.
Jamie, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fantastic. I've watched you last week against Crystal Palace, and here, and it's quite evident, not just the goals, but you're always trying to get involved in the play, come short, link the play. And I was impressed with some of your touches in the game as well. It's not just about goals for you. It seems like you want to be involved in the build-up, and also you're involved in the second goal as well, dragging people out wide and then playing that pass into Cody.
Yeah, I try to think before the defender and to read the game, to know what the other players around me is gonna do. And I knew like the defender like to come and, you know, press me, so I know in my back or on the side it will have space, and I just attract him, and I know Cody will be there, and it's a bit like he's special. He's really good when he comes inside with his right foot. So yeah, I wait, and it made the difference, so I'm happy for him.
What's your first impression of the Premier League?
You know, it's a dream. Like I always dream to play here in Premier League, so I just enjoy every minute here. Sorry.
It's all right.
And that's amazing stadium. You know, the fans at the end when we was at 2-2, they push so much even on the bench. I enjoy. I wanted to be in the crowd. So it's just amazing. But as I say, it's the first game. We have so much to do to get better and to reach our goals.
Well, the crowd certainly have taken to you. I know you wanted to be in there, but I think they would have been delighted for you to be there as well. You are the Premier League player of the match. I've got the...
Wow.
I don't know, you won't have seen these before, but they're really impressive.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
I don't know where you want to put it, but there is your Premier League player of the match award.
I don't know, on my table.
Yeah, not bad for a Premier League debut.
No, it's can do better, I think, but it's great. I want more.
Hugo, thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
good of you to come out and talk to us. I can take that for you. Thanks so much. Thank you. They're going to endear him to the crowd, aren't they? If you're going to come in as a striker, that'll do it.
Yeah, it will endear him to the crowd, but also to his teammates as well, and also give that lad confidence. I mean, the first time I've ever been in his company, but he feels you can see he's a young lad. He's just the way he's at Anfield, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and I've actually felt a little bit sorry for him with all the talk around Isak, and that's why I've been a little bit sort of not outspoken, but it's easy to just say, "Oh, go and get Isak." What does it mean for him? And you don't want to ask him the question and put him on the spot, but I mean, there's talk about him playing on the left, but he looks like that's his position. He's a centre forward. He likes to drop deep, he likes to get on the ball. He's probably not going to be a centre forward who's going to be backing into defenders and sort of going up against them. He's got a slight frame, so we need to sort of get away from him and take them into wide areas. So for me, he's made a brilliant start. He's not as good as Isak, of course. He's not. He's 4 or 5 years younger than him. But I'm sure Liverpool, when they bought him, are thinking this fella could grow into one of the top strikers in world football. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just really interesting now what Liverpool do in terms of the attacking players that they bring in, because they have to bring attacking players in. But that will do him the world of good, and also give players the confidence, and maybe even supporters the confidence that it's not all about Isak, and if you don't get him, it's the end of the world. You might have someone pretty special up front already.
I know you said they need to bring attacking players in, but you've been saying for a while they need to bring more defenders in at Liverpool. And certainly Liverpool's defence could be questioned for the 2 goals that brought Bournemouth back into it. But I want to focus, before we do that, on Antoine Semenyo and how good he was for both of these goals, Gary.
It was outstanding, and it was down this side of Liverpool, this left. I think it's a brilliant ball into the box. Semenyo was fantastic in terms of that opposite wide player. You just see him there in the top of the picture. Konate's out of position, he gets caught in that channel. Van Dijk's just a little bit deeper, which isn't usually plays a really high line. He could have stepped a yard or 2 more, but Semenyo's pace to get into that back post as the opposite wide player is outstanding, and he was fantastic in this game tonight. What a real threat, and Bournemouth deserved it. They did a lot of very good things. I thought when the substitution was made and Endo went to right back, Liverpool really struggled for about 15-20 minutes, and that's when most of the defensive problems came. This is obviously just a big counter-attack.
I mean, that's unbelievable looking at that. I mean, Arne made those changes initially to make sure things like this don't happen. Well, fantastic from Semenyo, but Liverpool have had this problem. You continue. I mean, look how many players there for Liverpool. Maybe 8 players ahead of the ball when you're winning 2-1. I mean, that can't happen. It's absolutely shocking at this level. And Semenyo, I mean, to run that far and then get your shot away is brilliant. But where Konate's going, I mean, he had a really, really poor night tonight, the Liverpool centre-back. But and Liverpool supporters in the stadium will be delighted tonight, singing the Chiesa song. Salah gets the last-minute goal. That is not right. It's not. It's only 1 game into the season, the Community Shield. I'm telling you, I've watched enough football in my life. This idea that everyone bombs forward, you've got all the attacking players on the pitch, it's not for me. I don't like it. At no time last week in the Community Shield did I ever feel Liverpool were in control of the game. You can draw 2-2 with Crystal Palace, that can happen. They're a good Premier League team. But it was how easy it was for Crystal Palace to get at Liverpool, how easy it was tonight. In the first half, Bournemouth should have probably been 2-0 up at one stage. And there's definitely a problem that Arne Slot has to solve, and it's not just about people say, oh, they need a centre-back. A centre-back doesn't fix that. He just takes Konate's place. He doesn't fix that. It's about the makeup of the team. 2 attacking fullbacks. So number 10 now is more interested in getting on the ball than maybe defending like Szoboszlai was last season. So I think if Liverpool continue like that, and that's sort of the Liverpool this season, I don't think Liverpool win the league.
We may well come back to talk about Liverpool's defence, but important to put Antoine Semenyo's performance, particularly in the second half, in context, because in the first half of the game it was paused for a couple of minutes because Antoine Semenyo reported racial abuse from the crowd. Here's Adam Smith with Juliet Farrington on that.
Adam, first of all, a dressing room frustrated with the scoreline, disappointed, but also disappointed with the racial abuse that Antoine Semenyo received during the game.
Yeah, just totally unacceptable. Kind of been shocked, to be honest, that it happened this day and age. It shouldn't be happening. I mean, I don't know how Ants played on, to be honest, and come up with them goals, and just it's totally unacceptable. And I just, if anything, I just feel sorry for Ants in there. He's a little bit down, obviously, and to carry on playing, it's just something needs to be done. And taking a knee and doing this is not having no effect. So Yeah, we'll support him in there, and yeah, hopefully it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's taken quite a while for the players to come out of that dressing room. I know that your manager has gone on to speak to Liverpool security as well, and he's gone back in too. When you talk about the goals that he went on to score, he didn't react. He showed great bravery, didn't he, to go on and do that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wanted him to react, because that's what I would have done. I would have gone straight over there, but this just shows what type of man he is. To not react, even in the moment when it happened, not to react, to carry on. Then he reported to the ref, and then to come up with them 2 goals, it shows what type of guy he is and what type of character he has. So, yeah, fair play to Ants.
As captain, when Anthony Taylor came and spoke first of all to the 2 head coaches, but then players got involved as well, wanting to know what had happened. What was your? How did you feel?
It's more angry, to be honest. Shocked. Obviously, I said to the ref, I just want him removed immediately. But he said we have to go through a process. The police will go and sort it. And to be fair, the Liverpool players were very supportive as well towards Antoine and the rest of the team. So I think it was handled in the right way. But yeah, just so angry.
I can feel that coming through you, that emotion as well. As you said, it does appear to have been handled quite swiftly on the ground. Merseyside police involved as well. Yeah. But when you talk about taking the knee, you know, educating people, what more can be done? An opening day of the season too.
Yeah, obviously we've had discussions with the Premier League about it, so they've been taking it serious. But I was just speaking to some of the lads in there, and it's just I don't know what else we can do. It's just we've been doing it for a long time now, and no one's just getting it. It's just I just don't know what to say anymore, and I just feel sorry for Ants in there, just that he's had to take that tonight, and the whole country's watching, and for that to happen, it's just shocking.
I thank you for your time. Thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this is the statement that we have had on the incident from the Premier League Match Centre, saying that the match was temporarily paused after a report of discriminatory abuse from the crowd directed at Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo, in line with the Premier League's on-field anti-discrimination protocol. And that's what we heard Adam Smith talking about there in terms of the conversations that they've had with the Premier League. They say the incident will now be fully investigated. They offer their full support to the player and the clubs. They emphasise that racism has no place in our game or anywhere in society, and that they will continue to work with stakeholders and authorities to ensure stadiums are an inclusive and welcoming environment for all. Adam Smith made the point there, and Juliet picked up on it, that taking the knee, gestures, aren't having the effect of getting rid of this from the game. Is reporting the incident and, more importantly, following that up with swift and correct action the answer to trying to get this out of the game, at least out of the stadiums?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's the correct way to go about it. I just think back about 4 or 5 weeks ago where Salford City, a club obviously that I part own, there was an incident of racism, and the manager and the players walked off the pitch and didn't finish the last, I think, 7 or 8 minutes of the game. They just walked off and walked in. Now, I'm not saying that should have happened tonight, but we're going to get to a point where I think that players are going to rally round if these incidents keep occurring in stadiums, and they say, no, football's not important tonight, we're going to go off and walk off. And I'm not advocating that, but it's the right thing to do. But that's what the Salford players did that night. They felt very strongly about it, and we supported them. But you can just see the players there, the disappointment, the shock. He refers to, obviously, the player Semenyo, who goes on to have the most incredible second half after what he's experienced in the first half, which says a lot about him as a personality and the character. And I've spoken about this personally before, where I was witnessing players getting racially abused in stadiums. You know, Ashley Cole famously in the Bernabeu in 2003 for England, and I went after the game and sat next to him, and at that time my response was inadequate. You know, I think back in 2003 I should have been a lot more supportive. I think as a group of players we should have been a lot more supportive. I think now the players are giving support, and they will be obviously rallying around him in that changing room and making sure that he's okay. But I have to say it's despicable, it really is. And enough is enough. I know we've said that for a long time now, but it continues to keep happening.
I noticed on the screens at half-time, just in the two corners over there, they had the number that you can text in the crowd if you hear any racist language, and there is a way for that to be reported. Is this, as well as being dealt with properly by the authorities and having faith in them to deal with it properly, is there an element of self-policing as well, Jamie, in this?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, I think there is a lot of good work that gets done, you know, up and down the country in terms of the football side of it, and I can understand where Adam Smith's coming from, thinking, you know, what more can we do, or what else is, or these things aren't working. But it's also difficult when you've just got one idiot in a crowd. How would you police that one person in a crowd who, as you say, you just mentioned, despicable? It makes it difficult, whether that's through the Premier League, the Football League, the FA, the clubs coming together.
They wanted him to be removed from the ground, and they said, well, we have to go through a process. Then the police become involved, and so that the processes were being gone through at the ground.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if you're talking about that, and then someone getting removed from the ground. I'm not sure what else you can do, whether the fan gets banned for the season or gets banned for life. I totally get that, but in terms of the actual racial abuse, and we're talking about all the good work that we're trying to do, we all know it's completely different than when I first going on the terraces in sort of the mid-80s when I was a 7 or 8 year old kid. But it is very difficult for the clubs or the FA or the Premier League. There's one idiot in a crowd who just, you know, comes out with that nonsense.
But isn't in a way that easier if it's one person?
I think the important thing, Kelly, is it's a criminal offence. This obviously proven to be found guilty, and I think
which is why we need to be
the consequence of that.
around
the consequence of that should mean that person, you know, there is serious consequences for that individual. And I'm not just talking about taking the season ticket off them and stopping them watching Liverpool again. That's an absolute given. They won't step foot in the stadium if it was proved to be correct. But also the fact that, you know, their employer, the people who they work with, their family, you know, this is going to have a knock-on effect, and there needs to be consequence if these type of incidents are reported and they're found to be proved correct. And there needs to be serious consequences.
And here is Andoni Iraola with Jules.
Andoni, first of all, I know it's been a frustrating dressing room, and it's been a very disappointed dressing room. I know you've been speaking to Liverpool security, Merseyside police involved as well. Can I just get, first of all, your thoughts on what happened to Antoine Semenyo tonight?
I didn't notice it live, no, because obviously there is a lot of people shouting, but Antoine, the referee, everyone explained straight away the situation. To be fair, I think the person has been identified, and it's a shame, because in a really great game of football, first game of the season, everyone watching, know that we have to be talking about these things still today. No, I think we should have been past this stage, but still there are people that they don't behave obviously correctly, and it's a shame. It's a shame because every step that you collectively do forward with these things loses a lot of power.
Your captain was talking to us, and he was saying what bravery Antoine showed to continue and carry on and not to react to what happened to him on the pitch.
Yes, I think he did what he had to do, informed straight away. Also the ref explained to both managers straight away the situation. I don't think he lost his mind. Probably he was thinking the next minutes in this thing, but it's a big shame that we have to start talking about these things.
When Anthony Taylor came over and spoke to both you and Arne Slot, and I saw Arne Slot talking to Antoine at the end of the match as well, and Virgil van Dijk was talking to him at half-time. How did you feel about it? What was that reaction?
No, for sure. The Liverpool manager, the players are the first one, that they feel it like if they've received this thing, because at the end, even if it's a Liverpool supporter, for sure they don't want them with them, I think everyone understands that these things have to be especially out from everywhere, but especially from football, and it's a big shame.
And to bring you back right into the game as well, to level the scoreline 2-2 going into the final stages of the match, shows what type of character, what type of person he is. How is he right now, though, in that dressing room?
I think he's probably overthinking it, because probably in the heat of the game you continue playing, you focus on the things you have to do. Obviously has continued playing very well. He scored 2 goals in the second half, but now that we had to go again to talk to the police, to the officials, no, to again, no, tell them more or less how the things have gone. I think he was, you know, in his head, for sure he will have it there, and it shouldn't be like this.
Thank you for your time, Andoni. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liverpool Football Club is aware of an allegation of racist abuse made during our Premier League game against AFC Bournemouth. We condemn racism and discrimination in all forms. It has no place in society or football. The club is unable to comment further, as tonight's alleged incident is the subject of an ongoing police investigation, which we will support fully. So as things stand, what we can infer from Liverpool's statement is that this is now being dealt with by the police.
Yeah, as I said before, it's a serious matter. It'll be dealt with by the police. There needs to be strong consequences. And it's what the game does. We've seen a lot of those statements over the last 10, 15 years, and they keep coming out after every single game. It's like plug and play. But what's changing? I think that's the key thing. What's changing?
And that's exactly the point that Adam Smith was making in his interview, which is there are lots of gestures and not too much change within the game. It's certainly not eradicated it from the game. Antoine Semenyo went on then to score 2 goals that brought it back to 2-2 for Bournemouth at Liverpool this evening. Liverpool went on to take the game by 4-2. Jamie, you've been talking about some of the defensive concerns, and Arne will be joining us, and you'll be able to put your questions to him. But before we do, and because we are going to get caught in those more negative conversations, we should talk about how well Bournemouth played, particularly given that they're a group of players, and defensively are a group of players who haven't played together in the Premier League before.
Well, when you think of what Bournemouth did last season, they were a team who we all talked about. Everybody was raving about. And every time we did Monday Night Football, you're coming in doing a Bournemouth piece, looking at the stats, the numbers. But I think that performance to go first game of the season to the home of the champions, with the problems that you've had, the players that you've lost. Listen, Bournemouth fans know their team better than me, but that surely has to go right up alongside any performance from last season. You know, they've just been a little bit unfortunate. So, you know, the last kick of the game, ball just drops to Carragher. He's fallen away and just finds the bottom corner. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic. They should have gone 1-0 up, maybe even 2-0 up. 2 big chances in the first half. I thought the game had got away from them. So to come back there and do what they did to Liverpool in that second half and leave them hanging on and leave them needing to score in the last minute was a fantastic performance, as I said, considering the players that they've lost from last season.
When we spoke to Iraola before the game, he sort of conceded that it would be tough for them, particularly as a new group of players coming to the home of the champions, that they might not have too much of the ball. But how impressed were you with what they did when they did have it?
I thought they were excellent. I thought the front four were a real threat. I thought Scott was really sort of dangerous. Semenyo obviously was a huge threat to Liverpool. They should have, as Jamie said, gone 1 or 2 up in the first half. They were creating big moments. It was also going to be tough for them, but it's a great performance from Bournemouth. It really was.
Well, Arne has made his way to join us. Arne, thank you so much. Congratulations on the victory. We will talk about the football, but it's important that we get your thoughts on the report that Antoine Semenyo gave to the officials alleging racist abuse. What was said over on the benches? And I know you made a point of going over to speak to Semenyo at the end of the game.
Yeah. No, I think the club made a clear statement. We don't want this in football. We don't want this in the stadium to happen, but especially not at Anfield. So. We should talk about that. We should talk about maybe that for a long time, because it's unacceptable that something happens like this in the stadium, let alone at Anfield. And that unfortunately gets the shine off. I don't know if that's really good English, but because our fans were unbelievable when you talk about the tribute for Hugo. So, but what happened over there is definitely, I didn't hear it. I only can say that that this should definitely not happen in a stadium.
And the club, as you say, have put out a statement saying that they condemn abuse in any form. And I know that it's with the police, so there's a limit to what can now be said. Yeah. As you said, that we could have been talking about a fantastic game, and we will talk about what was a fantastic game. You take all 3 points from it. Were you happy with everything that you saw out there?
I think it was a great game to watch, and this is why this is what football makes so great. 3 parties involved that wanted to play a very nice game. Us, Bournemouth, and the referee. So high tempo, no time wasting, no diving, just keep on playing. This is what football makes so nice. 2-0 up, going 2-2, because they just kept on going after 2-0 down. It's a big compliment for them not to give up, but just keep on fighting. And then we did the same after we conceded the 2-2. And not only we, our fans were at that moment of time. And even before the game, during the You Never Walk Alone and the tributes for Hugo, the banner they had, altogether it should be about that. But the game of football was also impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, very impressive game of football. Were you always convinced that Liverpool were going to take 3 points from that game?
No, because we played them last season here when we were 3-0 up. They just kept on going. They were in every stat, running stat, very high last season, and you could see today again. We, by the way, as well, but you could see today again how fit this team we faced was and never gave up. Because you can talk about rest defense, but I think the moment we lost the ball in both situations, the rest defense was in order. But the pace they have, the tempo they sprinted all the way, it was a 4v2, I think, on this side. That's also credits to them. But like I said, they faced a team that's really fit as well and never gives up. We've lost many players during the summer, but we didn't lose our mentality.
I'm really interested in that point, because I've heard you make it in almost every interview that you've given, because you're asked so often about the players who've come in, but you're always at pains to emphasise the players who've gone over the summer.
Not always, because it's only the second day I have an interview, I think.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
But yeah, everybody is asking me the same question. Yeah, you have a lot of new players. Yeah, reality is we've lost a lot of players as well. I think we even lost more than we got. But it's normal if you bring such a talented players in. And you've already won the league last season. That everybody's talking about that. But yeah, if you normally, when it was 2-2, I think these two know which player I was looking at that moment of time. I would have loved to bring Diogo Jota in, but now I couldn't for terrible reasons. But now the fans and the players that were still there did what he did so many times for us in the past.
Arne, can I ask you just mentioned rest defence there, and it's been a problem in the pre-season, in the Community Shield, and here today. I think what stood out for me watching your Liverpool team last season was how much control you had in games, and I very rarely saw end-to-end games. I feel like I'm seeing that today and in the Community Shield. Is that a worry for you? Because there's a lot of attacking talent on the pitch now that maybe wasn't there as much last season.
Not that we bring more bodies in front of the ball, maybe, but we do have players that are looking maybe for a final pass or a difficult solution in the end phase of an attack a little bit more, because they also have these passes than we had last season. And probably, I'm not talking about a player we lost, but I do talk about a player that was not available last week and not this week, and that's Ryan Gravenberch, who was last season very, very important in these moments as well. So with McAllister only being back 2 or 3 weeks in pre-season, we lost a little bit of that control in our midfield. But yeah, Ryan will be back next week and Maka will be fitter again. And we need to find a better balance in taking the risk, because against Palace we've lost 2 or 3 simple balls that led to counter-attacks. Where here we lost in the 2-1, we lost the ball with a trick as well, where Dominic wanted to do a trick.
Could you believe what you were seeing? I mean, I was up on commentary, maybe even got a better view than yourself. I think there was 7 or 8 players in the box when the score was a 2-1. Are you sort of encouraging that, or would you be furious with that?
No, depends on where the players of the opposition are. If they are standing over here at the halfway line, it would be stupid for us to be there with 7. But if they go with all players back in their own 18-yard box, we need to have a rest defense in order to be close and to them there as well. I think if you, I don't know if we can show this, but if you stop the play the moment Mo loses the ball, there's not such a big problem. I think the rest defense is in order. But then they just came with 3 or 4 out of nowhere, not out of nowhere, out of their own 18-yard box. And
Arne, we've got it for you.
Yeah. So if you look at this one now, if you stop it, stop. Yeah, you can stop it, but
a little bit earlier.
Can we take it back?
Yeah.
But Arne, we're 2 defensive players, 2 full-backs. Just take it back a little bit further, if we can, a little bit further.
We used to play like this, actually.
No, it's fine. But what I'm saying is, I don't like the fact that Liverpool's 2 full-backs at this stage of the game. Joe Gomez has made an inside run, Andy Robinson's in the box. That, to me, feels too much on the front foot.
Depends on where their players are, and if I see it now and I see where Semenyo is, then you could argue if Robbo should be this high for stop. For me, Robbo should be where Semenyo is. And you can argue if all of our midfielders should go inside the 18-yard box now. But that's also who we were and who we are, and that's also why you see such a nice game if you watch Liverpool, because we're not going to go to a low block and defend. Stop. You see, we are in 2v1 behind the ball, and you see players from us sprinting back as well. But give credits to Semenyo.
Arne, can I just say that worries me a little bit?
What?
When you say that's the team that we are, with so many bodies going forward. Am I allowed to say that? Sorry, boss.
No, you're allowed to say this. But then you need to support a team that's going to play with 11 players in their own box. I prefer to see this. But I prefer even more to see not being counter-attacked. That I agree on. But I like it that our players like to play football. And I think last season we were a joy to watch. Like, for example, Paris Saint-Germain, who do similar things like this.
Arne, to be honest with you, I think it's a breath of fresh air in the sense of how I see the game should be played. It's how we used to play. I quite often last year said that football was becoming quite formulaic, where players weren't free. It felt like they were being sort of like coached like robots to say, you must pass it here, you must pass it there. So when I see that tonight, I feel like that's really exciting. Obviously, sometimes you will concede goals doing that. Is this how you're going to play for the rest of the season? Because I think that it's going to be thrilling to watch Liverpool if it is.
Yeah, we will try, although we want to do better in the transition moments, of course. But it's also then, if Mo would have had a shot on goal that went over or a corner kick, is not a problem. So where do you lose a ball is crucial as well. The moment how Dominic Szoboszlai lost the ball with a trick, that is not smart in that moment of time. But we will fine-tune even more these counter-attacks, hopefully, but we will work on that definitely. But we do want to stay the team that is a joy to watch offensively, and we're not a team, if we're 2-0 up, we're going to go with 10 men in our own box. That's not who we are.
You substituted both your fullbacks, Carragher and Frimpong. What was you just thinking behind that at that moment in the game?
I'm looking for the English word, but that wasn't out of luxury. That was because Jeremy Frimpong felt his hamstring at half-time and made a lot of sprints.
He was doing quite well, wasn't he?
He was doing quite well, but the other fullback, Conor Bradley, is already injured with a hamstring injury, so you don't want to take the risk of another fullback, lose another fullback. Then you could argue, why don't you play Joe Gomez there? But I just said he only had 2 sessions in pre-season, so he wasn't able to play half an hour, so we started with Wata, and our left fullback, Milos Kerkez, is a player that I think the fans like, because in every duel he goes all in. But when you have a yellow card already and you play Semenyo, that's kind of a risk. Yeah. And if you have Robertson as a backup, then that was the reason for those two. And Hugo Ekitike came later in pre-season, has to adapt from, I think I can say that Liverpool is a bit bigger club than Frankfurt. And the league is probably more intense as well. So for him to be able to play 70 is already a big bonus after being 2-3 weeks here. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment, because we lost some players.
You need more players, Arne.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So does that mean there's more to come in the transfer window?
I'm not saying we need more. I'm only saying that everybody's only talking they added. No, we didn't add. Till now, we only replaced. And you never know what's going to happen in the window. We do already signed one with Leone.
Yes.
So that's a good thing.
Arne, I will say, when we came here this evening, I didn't think you'd get support from this corner and criticism from that corner.
It's not
but
criticism,
that's
it's constructive.
Kelly, he played under Rafa Benitez. He had 4 defenders that never moved. He had 4 midfield players that never moved. He had 8 behind the ball every week.
And won the most famous Champions League final of all time.
Listen,
and I spoke to Benitez, and he said that's only because of Jamie, because he has to play in big spaces. He has a problem.
Arne, listen, we really appreciate you coming out. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the victory. Thank you. And it is job done as far as getting the result is concerned. Whether you two have concerns about Jamie, how the setup is and how that might look as the season goes on, or Gary, whether it's the kind of football that you played and that you enjoy watching, it is a style of football that clearly Arne Slot is going to be playing with Liverpool.
I get Carragher's point, because they're going to go to Newcastle, they're going to go and play Arsenal here in a few weeks, and you can't obviously be that open at times, but because Liverpool have got such a punch, if you just throw punches and go punch for punch with a lot of teams, you'll win most of your matches. And go and risking to win games. I mean, they had 7 or 8 players in the box at 2-1. If that's 3-1, you say that's brilliant. That's what we want to see. And I was so critical at times last season of seeing teams recycle the ball where they were basically sort of didn't know how to go forward. So when I watch a team like that runs forward, that passes forward, that commits players, that's got 2 full-backs forward, that leaves 2-on-2 at the back, that to me is a thrill. That's what the Premier League is. Now, I know that ultimately when we're talking about tactical football, later on in the season we would be critical if Liverpool lost the league playing like that. But I think at this point in the season, I think you're okay to be able to do that. And I think they obviously have to sort it out in bigger games. And they've obviously got players to come back. So I don't want to be too critical of it, because I think it does... I reminisce and think that that's how we would play. We would commit, we would risk, we would try and thrill at all times in the games and score more goals. And at 2-1, you don't sit back. And that's what I think Liverpool have done tonight. But I can see why you're slightly worried. But let's see how they do against Newcastle and Arsenal. That would be a bigger test, I think.